So it sounds like a kind of fairly technical one. Yeah. Up to you if it's very technical. Right, so. You know, I'm just going to do this without PowerPoint. My name is Will. I spent about 3 months writing a Firefox extension called View My Currency. It's conceptually very simple. It simply takes a web page, it looks through the web page, it finds any currency symbols, then it converts them into your own currency. So if you've got, if you're looking at the UK website, it's in UK pounds, you can see everything in euros. So very simple.
Does it do a lookup or something?
Yes. So basically every 8 hours it does a lookup, either using a web service, Google actually does currency conversion as well, so it uses that as well. Just every 8 hours to get the exchange rates, and then caches those. Do you have Firefox running? Maybe you can see you can get the monitor to work.
Yeah, in the converter actually.
Yeah, it's something like Firefox. If you can try and get that running on display. So, I mean, for example, are you guys interested in writing your extensions? Would you know where to start? Have any of you guys used Grease Monkey?
Yes.
Right, Grease Monkey is great, and that's where I started. The great thing about Grease Monkey is it takes all the pain out of which is not trivial to know exactly how you have to. You have to package up your files, you have to register everything. But Grease Monkey does all that for you.
If you want to try. You don't mind if I install an extension? No. And I noticed recently that there's now you can now package the scripts you created with the Grease Monkey as a standalone.
Yeah, there's a kind of Grease Monkey compiler, that's great, but eventually you hit limitations. But I found with Grease Monkey, okay, a very, very, very small font. Where is that?
You can change
Control plus.
down in the system tray. There's a quick set thing that you could adjust the text size. It's the Dell package link for
Anyway, so I started with Grease Monkey. And it was really great. You can definitely prototype pretty much anything with that. The things where I sort of ran out of steam on Grease Monkey was doing a complicated user interface. So as soon as you want to do a real kind of application type interface that's not embedded in somebody else's web page, there are some things you can get a bit of basic dialogue and you can store basic properties. But for example, I wanted to sort of spreadsheet type table showing on exchange rates, and you could click on that and find out where they're coming from. That kind of sophistication we need to then move to your own extension. I started that about, I don't know, about 6 months ago. And then one of the big problems with doing an extension was the documentation was really pretty ropey, and especially if you started trying to do Zoom. It's got a lot better. I think the Mozilla Foundation or Corporation, I'm not sure which one, have employed a guy full time to improve their documentation, and it's a lot easier now to get started. Nonetheless, you still get things, you know, where the Zool documentation says you can do it like this, you try it and it doesn't work. The great thing is there's a big community out there. You type in your problem in Google and probably someone's hit it. The other big thing about extensions is that most extensions are released open source. for the good reason that the JavaScript code is embedded in the XPI file, which is actually just a zip file. So it's really easy. You see someone who's doing something neat. Like, okay, how does he add something to the right-click menu? You simply unzip their extension, have a look through, until you figure out how they've done this. So you can really iteratively build something like that. I meant to say that if you start with Greasemonkey, then a book you should definitely get is Dive into Greasemonkey in that program. It's free on the web, and it takes you really step by step through all the problems you can have. Any luck to play?
Not yet.
Yeah. So the gremlins are around. Anybody else has a laptop that can run Firefox without mini fonts? Yeah. If you write an extension, you can of course put it on your own website, but then no one will find it. The thing you need to do is release it to the Mozilla updates.
And connect for the
The Mozilla Updates website is the place for extensions, and I got quite shocked because it goes through a human review process where someone actually goes through it, checks for horrendous things like, so if you're sending all your keystrokes back to backbone. Because by the way, with a Firefox extension you can do pretty much anything. You could monitor all keystrokes on the computer, and there's going to be a big scare about that. It hasn't happened yet, but it's inevitable that someone's going to write a malicious Firefox extension, and Mozilla are going to get really bad publicity when that happens. Like the color scheme.
Yeah, the color, it's the cable, I think.
It's the cable? Yeah.
But
Can you do the same? Can you load it? I know this is.
I guess you could do, yes. But the point is no one installs install plugins. So it's not very likely that that get widely installed. With Firefox, I mean, I released my code. I was expecting it to take me about a week until someone would review it to put it on. Yeah. I went down for breakfast, I came back and I had 200 bug reports.
200?
Yeah. Admittedly, they were all pretty much the same. It doesn't work for US dollar. When the Mozilla Update Hub recently updated, and when you're on that, you get behind it. It's incredible.
It's hard to do a beta in a small group.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what I then did was I realised that, and this because I've got great download charts. You can see that like the first day I got 2,000 downloads, and then the second day I was on the second page of what's new, and I got like 500, and then it was after that it's been about 20 per day like since then. So it's people who are just looking for currency converters. It should be on Friday. It would be interesting to see. There's nothing that I've done that's against Flock, shall we say. But I can just, okay, great. It'll work in different ways.
Don't move.
Not apparently.
So one of the things I did was I moved my development, like a communication with the public, onto my own blog, because it was the facilities they give you to talk to your users in Mozilla are not really good enough. You can get feedback and you can reply to that, but it's just not sophisticated enough. So now I've got my own blog. Great.
Keep installing.
Yeah. And so we just go to install latest alpha release. So I now have my own release and there's an official release in Mozilla. How do I get that back?
Just click again. Wow. Yes,
And I'm the keystroke lover.
Okay. Now you don't get quite such a nasty install warnings if you go through Mozilla. It's not too bad. Okay, cool. The really nasty thing about Firefox is you have to restart it.
Yeah, but this is not.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a gazillion.
Right, I'll start it up again.
Yeah. You actually have to restart to install extensions, and the way that works is they use an overlay system. So basically, your code actually overlays the existing code. So that's the ZOO, which defines the user interface, and the JavaScript, which provides functionality. And you could actually overlay anything. So any aspect of the program will be changed. Okay, so this is what happens when you install it. You get conflict in the Google browser site.
Yeah, you can upgrade it later.
That's answer this, I guess. With the welcome diagram, so you know that you've installed it. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. You can basically, these are the kind of default currencies. It uses your user agent string to try and guess what currencies you might be interested in. I guess you've got to set it to US English. If you're like Norwegian, then the list of Norwegian krona or something. But if, for example, you're not in the Eurozone,
yeah, it's a bit slow. There they are.
Right. You can choose pretty much anything. There are about 116 currencies in this list, all of which, let's go with the euro, continue. So all of these currencies, that's the default, will be converted into euro. Go. Low and down here. It's amazing how many people just didn't realise I changed the user interface. So that was when I got pretty quickly from feedback, a little arrow saying,
If you got 4 other extensions there.
yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, for me, of course, it's like completely obvious. Can you take us to like, I don't know, like CNN.com or something?
Place one and stuff.
Actually, take us to eBay.com.
Two banks.
Yeah. Place it for this extended forest. It's really up there. Like a little desktop.
Hamsters or something. In the search box. Yeah, it's amazing what you can find on eBay. Right, okay, so here we see, this is on the US site, which has dollar prices everywhere. Now, if you click where it says off, it's going green, but it's thinking about it, and now you see everything in euros. Now, the nice thing is, how do I get the right click menu?
Just
You've got a right click. You can actually hide the recognized values. So now all you're seeing is euros on a US website, and this basically just works. Here you follow the links, and from now on the world is in euros. I use quite a lot of complex heuristics.
A glittery hamster wheel.
You have to buy it.
Right.
It's even expensive.
I could convert that, but I decided not to because if you're writing an email, it gets complicated. That's but it would be easy.
Let's guess what the next release name, code name will be.
Just a session from.
What you often see is that people have written numbers. So like you might have a table of numbers where it's implicit that the values are in a particular currency.
Table heading saying US dollar
Exactly.
or something.
Yeah.
Glittery hamster.
So many payment options.
It's amazing. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this was actually the 2 here was actually referring to $2, and I hadn't picked that up. You can just right click and do my currency, convert, and hit enter, and it'll automatically convert those numbers as well. So even when my heuristics don't work, you've got always got the manual option. And in fact, you can actually have quite a lot of fun with this, because you don't just need to convert numbers.
you can convert any text to any text. And just return policy. Yeah, is really bad.
The new one.
Well, okay. Normally you can convert the text.
Which was the one? That one?
No. It's a little more
Nice to know.
No, that's the other one. I don't know.
Like usually just
You have to write on. You can just edit the text on the left hand side and it becomes it's converted. That should be. Yeah, okay. That works on Windows.
sorry for the mic.
The other thing you can do is there's a shortcut key which I can't remember. Convert text as that. Can you type that magic key combination?
Yeah. Was it deep?
Yeah, see. It pops up. And if you just start to type numbers, you see on the right hand side it's converting those into euros. So if there's no text selected at all, do it again. You just there's something strange about the Macintosh version of this. You can just start typing numbers and on the right hand side it's doing the conversion. And of course you might not be wanting to convert from dollars, maybe you want to convert from Japanese yen, and that's that many Japanese yen in euros. So it's fairly robust. I found out pretty quickly that people were giving totally useless bug reports. They were saying like, it doesn't work. Just helpful. So the way I tried to tackle that was by adding this give feedback. And basically I say, please read my to-do list. Once you've done that, you can say you found a bug, the Mac version doesn't convert, and you get the URL. I get I saw this, and then for example you might say I saw $100, but I wanted to see 200 euros, so it's not working. And it's a much more structured, it's still free text, you can write whatever you want, but it gives me much better bug reports. Yeah. And now if you go, do you want to see, click on continue? Now this is basically the text that's sent to my blog. It's just entered on my blog, it's a free WordPress blog. But it gives me so much more information. Like I can see the crucial points. It's a stupid Macintosh. What's wrong? Plus, I get all the kind of internal information, and the quality of my the quality of my bug reports was so much better after that. Yeah. Yeah, don't bother. Otherwise, it will get listened to my blog. Yeah, that's, you see, did you notice that it flickered? Yeah. So you can do really neat things like that. Just, modify the DOM of another web page, no problem.
Pink tag.
It took me 3 days to do a decent script. It took me about 1 to 2 weeks, but not like full time, to make a kind of basic Firefox extension with the same functionality. So it was quite a big step up to go from GreaseMonkey to an extension, and that's it's a big learning curve. I think that will be a bit better now with better documentation. And it took me about 3 months to write something like this. There are lots of little things that just take a lot of tweaking. Things like in the options, you can select different currencies. So for example, now we're just using the euro, but you might, for example, be Albanian, and you might want to use the lek. So when you select that, it auto-updates them. So now you've got these different currencies. So all this sort of live update stuff, and then making sure that. So now you've got the Albanian, so it's 366. Having that things like that update working You couldn't do that with GreaseMonkey, but it still took quite a long time to build. It's using XML HTTP request, and then coping with all the errors you can get in the platform. The nice, I have what I call a web service. A core
source, which is basically just a web service where you get that information from. And normally I provided two.
And this is the actual URL where that information comes from. So yeah, that's the source of the information.
It's totally transparent. The user is not being tricked into going to my website, for example, every time they can go. But the nice thing is that those web services, it's like 4 lines of JavaScript now. So if you wanted to write one, for example, xe.com, it's a very popular exchange rate site. But if you look at the comments in the HTML, it's like, we will sue your ass off if you scrape this site. So I don't. But I could easily write 4 lines of JavaScript, post that on my blog and say, hey, by the way, you could add this to your thing and it would work. Going to the future, I'd quite like to make this kind of universal converter. You could convert different time zones, you could convert imperial to metric measurements or vice versa. I think the future of web browsing in general is very much having documents translated into your own language, your own currency, your own everything is customized for you. Totally mashing up the web so that it's what the user wants and not what the designer actually wrote. Of course, if you use my extension, if you're doing pixel accurate CSS stuff, it's a waste of time because I'm trashing the width of everything. Designers have to be a bit more relaxed about what they're actually generating. Do people have more questions about development in general? We're pretty much over time, but...
Question about currencies. Do all languages write numbers left to right?
No, and I haven't dealt with that. The numbers-wise, I only cope with Latin alphabets. I can cope with different symbols. But
And separators.
Separators have kind of got covered.
Because you can just use the same one that you see. It doesn't really have a meaning.
I basically wrote my own handlers for. I like numbers to have comma, decimal dots.
But in French it's the other way around.
Right, so then you would just, this is what I like to see. So you can choose what you want to see.
But you haven't found people paying too much or too little.
Well, the only danger is if you see something like 1,000.
Yeah.
That's pretty difficult. But if you see 1,0001, you can guess. And that's pretty much what I do. It's just heuristics. It's surprising how much that works.
And it's probably in your disclaimer. If you end up paying $1 million for a hamster wheel, then...
Exactly. I have a big do not sue me disclaimer. As I said, the next step I actually want to move to this to is putting it somewhere up on SourceForge or some public CBS site, and then trying to encourage people to start writing their own web services or to start doing things like convert from meters to feet. I don't want to be responsible for the entire thing. But I've got about 8,000 active users last time I checked, and it's still in beta, hidden on my website. So I think when I fix a few more bugs and do another release on Mozilla updates, I would expect to have tens of thousands of users pretty quickly. So it's quite exciting, and it's great when you get an email from Peru saying, "Oh, it's great, but it doesn't work." You fix that the next day, and like, "Oh, cool, it works." This is yes, Zoom is quite powerful, very easy to use. There are still some limitations, but it's getting better and better. One of the things that was missing, and I think is still missing, is a grid box. So this feature actually took a long time to code. So there are some basic widgets missing in Zoom, and development has stalled for a bit. But I think now they're working much on it. But simply being able to click on a widget, on a grid, and select it was not easy to do. So that's definitely not such a good thing. Any other questions?
How did you
code to the Firefox updates? Are you notifying them before that, or how is the process?
Yeah, so there are two issues there. There's the version of Firefox you're using, and there in your extension you basically say, in the header file of your extension, you say, I can cope with this version of Firefox up to this version. And then the user will be informed, this extension has been disabled because it's not compatible with your new version. Contact the user for an update. And the other issue is if I release an update, the users can be told. And what happens is that basically in your extension header file, there's a URL to look for updates. And I've currently got that pointing to my personal site. And once a day, Firefox pings that to see if there's an update. And that's really cool. So that's how I know I've got 8,000 users, because I see 8,000 pings per day. And I can actually track usage. For example, I got a mention on Download Squad, and it's great to see how the marketing or viral marketing that you do, and what effect that has. And the update's pretty seamless. As with other Firefox extensions, it just pulls it in and restart.
More for you as a developer, let's say Firefox 2.0 gets released, how quick can you adjust your...
I mean, in theory, I can do it before they release it. I haven't tried it myself. Okay.
Windows, Firefox
but basically, it's up to a developer to get the pre-releases, the release candidates. You test it, and if it works, then you just bump the version.
Okay, and then do they check it back then?
Well, you would have to then, if you've made any changes and you want to resubmit that to the update site, you would have to get that reviewed. And I haven't done that second time, but I imagine the second time is going to be faster than the first time. Yeah, conflict is a problem. There's a problem with the Google Sync toolbar, for example. And basically, I just...
This was not
okay. I have had it. Basically, I rule out bug reports. And it's a question of going through, I install the same extension and try to figure out how it conflicts. It's a bit messy, because you can overlay anything, and they can overlay anything, so indeed, yeah. And there's not a clean answer to that.
Okay, you cannot specify which layer
No, I mean, you can write, there are good programming styles where you can put all of your JavaScript inside your anonymous function, so that you've got almost no chance of namespace clash. But in terms of modifying the GUI, there's always a danger that it will clash.
Are there any IDEs available for development?
None that are really worth it yet. Having said that, there is what I use all the time is simply what's it called, Zool. I think Web Developer has got a live Zool editor or something. So basically, you just type Zool and you see instantly the effects it has, and that's pretty neat. Yeah, if you do a Google search for Zool development, you'll find that extension, and it's very useful. You just copy paste an example and you modify it so everything's aligned correctly, and then you copy and paste it into your own code. Yeah, it's pretty primitive. Yeah.
Writing this
I basically wrote this because I wanted it, good reason. And then I'm currently on sabbatical right now. I'll be looking for work early next year. And so I thought this would be it's one of the projects I've done. I think it would be good for my CV to be able to show people that, this is kind of, I've got X tens of thousands of users doing this, or a few thousand doing this. So that's how
you could add a PayPal button above the feedback one.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd get any money out of that. I think we've gone over time.
You already know the currency, so...
Yeah. Okay, guys.
You can confuse these people.
You don't get any money out of it.
Yeah,
I mean, I have one on my website, but I have